Hello girls! I guess I'm going to post this for Thursday. I'm a couple of days ahead. So I'm on the way to the bank. They're sending me my interest checks and I don't want that. I never collect my interest. I just let it build up. Anyway, then they got two checks for the same amount that they deducted, so got to find out what that's all about. And it's a very windy day today in Marietta, California. The sun is shining very nicely, but extremely windy. So I know it's worse I know it is worse other places, and I feel for you. And I hope the weather changes real quickly for a more positive side. Don't know what else I'm going to say. My bank is fairly close to me. Everything is fairly close to me, actually. I think within a mile and a half I've got everything I need. So I think when I leave the bank, I am going to go to Lowe's for my first look at carpet or hard flooring or something for my house. I really would like to have the change done before Christmas. Now I'm supposed to have that lump on my back removed December the 18th. But let's see if that's going to take place, because I've already had two cancellations for one reason or another. I had gone to go get my cardiologist test, which was a treadmill and something else, no big deal, except it would have cost Medicare a whole lot less money if they'd have just paid my dermatology bill that I was going to schedule. But no, they want me to go to a plastic surgeon to have it done. I've been through this before, I know, but it's one of the things that's kind of irritating me right this moment. But I'll get over it. See what happens at the bank with my girl over there. So that's all that's new with me right now. If something comes up, I'll check with you again. Bye. Where do I begin to tell the story of how great a love can be? Yes, you've come to part 2 of my love story. So I'll tell you what happened. Okay, so this is part 2 of my love story. Went to the bank and got everything taken care of, and night kind of got away from me. So here I am in the morning finishing my story. Now I left off where I told you we had left Riverside County and decided to go to the big old C, Orange County. Let me take my Botox tape off here. La 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 la. Okay. Anyway, we were in Orange County for a pretty good length of time, year and a half. Got a 3-bedroom apartment, 2-story, with my 2 teenage kids by now. And my son was still at home with us. He hadn't joined the Army yet. He joined when he was 17. And my daughter was going to Garden Grove High School. So I liked the area at the time because everything was close. We had the mall, we had the theaters, we had the bowling alley, we had the school, of course, and easy access to the freeway for our work. So everything was going really well. And then one day, he says to me, I want to move right to the beach. Because at that time we were about, I think, 10 miles away from the beach. But he says, alone. So I'm thinking, here we go again. And I said, no problem, I'll go look for an apartment for me and the kids. I always call them kids, I still do. And he lasted 1 month by himself in that lonely apartment right on the beach in Huntington Beach. And I guess he ended up moving in with me in my small apartment again, or we decided to find another apartment. Anyway, we were now in a 3-bedroom, single-story apartment that I really liked, and it was about 13 miles from the beach. And we had a beautiful view of the pool, and then it was a lot of streams in front of our sliding living room door, and we had a corner unit and stuff like this. Uh, so I liked it, tropical surroundings and stuff like that. And we were in there for quite a while. I want to say about, I don't know, 2 years, 3 years. And one thing that was really nice about living there was that the manager who ran the complex would let me do whatever I wanted to my apartment. So I had painted one wall a mauve because at that time I had a black table, and so I decorated it really nice to my taste. And one thing about my hubby, he never interferes how I want to decorate. I could be as girly as I want and he wouldn't care. I try not to be too girly, but I like my bedroom and certain things. I like to have flowers, and I'm very fond of pink and green. So we lived there for a while, like I said, and then we decided to get married. And different things happened that caused that transaction. Because as you already know, I really didn't care if I got married or not. And he had asked me 3 times, and up until this point. And the reason why my heart changed, because I already knew that I loved for him and I cared for him very much, and I knew that he cared for me too, and I knew that he had grown up. Now, mind you, I was, I think, 33, and he was 5 years younger. And I had had an encounter with my Savior. And so I said to him, "You got to move out." And he kind of looked at me like I was bonkers. And I said, "No, I can't live with you anymore, you know." So he did get a little bit perturbed, and one thing or another was said, and then he kind of stormed out and said, "You know, I don't know what happened to you," or blah, blah, blah. Now, mind you, he was raised in a very, very wonderful Christian home with his 8 brothers and sisters, and my family was 7 brothers and sisters. But somehow all that stuff flew out the window because he could not relate to me one bit. And 2 weeks later, he comes back knocking on my door, and he says, "I don't know what happened to you, Connie." He says, "but I'm going to try to understand, and I'm going to seek the Lord myself." So I said, "Okay, great." You know, and during that 2 weeks, I was writing songs. The Lord had all of a sudden made a songwriter out of me, and my first song was, "Jesus is the one for me." So I was as happy as could be, Paul or no Paul, at that particular time. And so he comes back, and I was still working at nights, and he says, when I got home one night, he says, "You'll never guess what I did." I said, "What?" He says, "Well, you know, I was reading the Bible." I guess he hadn't read it for a long time, but he's got a very good memory, because after that, I could mention things even today, and he already knows the answer regarding the scripture, you know, and many things. He's a pretty intelligent guy. So he says, "Yeah, you know, I came across that scripture where it says, go into your closet, etc., etc., etc." So he did. And he started to tell me this story, which was very touching to me. And even now when I repeat it, I get chills. Because he says, "Yeah, I went into the closet and I started praying. And I said, you know, help me understand what's going on. Whatever it is I need, let me have it. You know, show me, tell me." Whatever the words were that he used at that time. Because, you know, you got to remember, this was 38 years ago. So he said, all of a sudden, in this dark closet in our bedroom, he, thought the lights went out. He said that he all of a sudden saw like a big screen on the wall, movie screen, and he could see our Lord carrying the cross on his back, all torn up and bruised and hardly recognizable, just like in the Passion movie, which came years and years later. And he wanted to get up and help him. but he couldn't move. So he said that he started crying and he just felt so bad, and that he never really understood the whole scope of that incident that had taken place. And then all of a sudden, he said that he felt what was a feeling of somebody pouring honey on him, and that the honey ran down him very, very, very slowly. And he just kept sobbing and sobbing. And after the honey had gone down all the way to the floor in the closet, the movie screen disappeared. And from that point on, we were in total agreement about our faith, about what direction we wanted to go, and everything was awesome. So now we go from that 3-bedroom apartment, and we decided we're going to get married right away. And it was kind of sudden. And my daughter was a little upset because we didn't give anybody notice. We were just going to go get married right now and get it done, December the 22nd, 1984. So she couldn't get off work because she had just started a job that week, which I understood. And it was okay. Everything was okay. No big deal. No big deal. So we get married, and we decide we're going to buy a condo. And we had gone to see this one particular condo that was a corner unit, and it also had a pool, and it had beautiful streams running in front of our sliding door, and I loved it there. I really loved it there. So, and it was only a few blocks from the apartment we just left, with kind of a same scenario. So we went to go check it out and see what the cost was, and to us it was very expensive. And a couple of weeks later, my husband read that they had dropped the price by, I think it was $20,000. So he immediately went back and bought the condo. At that time, my son decides he's going to join the service. He's 17 years old, and he had our permission. He said he needed more discipline, because I wasn't really a strong disciplinarian. I only had to speak my words, and they listened. I never had to hit them, or I never think I even had to holler very much. But when I said, don't do this or don't do that, they always listened. They always had great respect for me, and they still do. So they both have 3 children now, by the way. My son will be 53 this year, and my daughter will be 52. So we're going along great in this condo. And we were only there, I want to say, 3 years when the market went sky high again. And I really didn't want to move, and we kind of bickered back and forth, and we bickered so much that we were talking about getting a divorce, which was kind of silly because I didn't really want that, and he didn't either. But we got our heads on straight, we thought about it, and we said to each other, you know, this is going to be our windfall, this money that we're going to take and run with. And so we did. We ended up in Riverside. And from there, everything just seemed to work out great. All things good happened there. He went to college at night because he wanted to be an air conditioning man, and he sold real estate. He got a real estate license and sold real estate. As a matter of fact, he sold the houses that the first little house that we had bought over there, which was Hemet, California. And it was a nice small town at the time, quiet and totally different than what it is now, unfortunately. But he did very well. And when he went to college that first night there, they asked everybody, what do you want to do? And he said, I want to start a business. Very matter-of-factly. And of course, the teacher kind of chuckled because even the teacher had never started his own business. But my husband is like that. He gets in a direction, he gets to a destination, and it's a done deal. So it took him 9 months to take that class. And at that time, I decided Oh no, I had gone to beauty school before that. Okay, so he finished his course, and when he got his license, he went to the largest air conditioning company in Hammond, California. And we decided when we bought that little house over there that we were going to be there for 3 years. But his business took off like a wildfire. And one thing led to another, and we ended up being there for 13 years. I retired in Hammett when I was 50, and that's when I did my first musical, South Pacific, and made my CD, and found out about the West Coast swing dancing in Palm Springs and San Diego, and those things that you've probably heard about before. And life was great. And then 9/11 happened. Oh, that first little house that we bought, we ended up renting to my son and his wife, because now he's back from the Army, and the first year he just kind of ran around and I think got in trouble that I never knew about until many years later. And so he asked if he could move in with us to our first little house. And we said, okay, but my husband said, but you got to sign a contract. I mean, a real contract, which was, you have to look for work every single day. He was an awesome stepfather, and they love him to pieces right now. He is an encourager. He is a happy-go-lucky guy. He's very easy to please. He doesn't really like confrontation, but woe to you if you decide you want to go that far. And sometimes I have to go that far because that's just my stubbornness in me. But I got to tell you, most of the time he's right. All right. So I know how to say, I'm sorry. I know how to say, forgive me, as no problem. And I know people in my life that can't use those two terminologies, unfortunately. So moving on, they move into that first little house, and we buy a second house, which was only a couple of blocks away. So the first house in Hammett, our first condo in Orange County was 1,250 square feet. Our second house was 1,450 square feet. And by the way, we only paid, I think, $93,000 for that house. 3-bedroom, family room, fireplace in the living room, 2-car garage. Adorable little cottage, I called it, a dollhouse. And so they moved in, and we went to a larger place so my husband could have a 3-car garage. And that was a steal because we were in Hammett. Great prices, great values, lots for your money. So we lived there for, let's see, 8 years, because my son rented our first house for 8 years. Like I said, we went from being there for 3 years, we thought, to 13 years. And then 9/11 happened. And when 9/11 happened, I said to my husband, that's it. Because off and on through all this time that we had moved, I wanted to get back to Orange County. That's where my daughter was. And it never really seemed to work out. But when 9/11 happened, I said, so we're either going to, well, first of all, because we didn't want to pay a $200,000 upgrade. We would go and try a $100,000 upgrade, which was Temecula, California, which is where we still are. Of course, they changed the zoning, so now we have to cross the street to actually be in Temecula, and they call it Murrieta. And the people at the sales office of this 2,300 square foot 4-bedroom house, 3-car garage, 1/20th of an acre, must have thought that the world was coming to an end, because then they gave us a fabulous price. So we're still in this home. We're still together. We're very compatible. His sister moved about 1.5 miles away. My twin sister lives in another part of Murrieta. My son lives in Menifee, California, which is only about 40 minutes away. My daughter's still in Orange County, unfortunately, but she's got a lot of deep roots there with her singing and her church. And yes, everybody says she sounds just like me. And she also works now that her children are grown. The oldest son is 26 years old. And she has 3 boys. So that's what happened. Now, since we've been out here in Marietta. Yes, we've had 3 blowouts, but we've always made up within a 24-hour period. And because we both feel bad, we both realize, let's get over this. But one time we really got upset with each other, and he didn't come into the bedroom for like 3 days. And that was like an eternity to him. I was pretty comfortable sleeping in the bed by myself, and I would just always tell the Lord, Lord, whatever you want, it's in your hands. Because in the very beginning when we got married, we called the Lord our referee. So he was always in the middle and going to make things right. But that time when he opened the bedroom door after 3 days, he says, can I come in and lay down? And I said, yes. And as soon as he laid down, we both started bawling our heads off, saying, why do we put ourselves through this? This is nonsense, And really, we couldn't even remember what the argument was about. I'm sure it was something dingy that I did or said. And, after being married to me for all this time, I guess it kind of really annoyed him. So now today, everything is hunky-dory. He's been wonderful with my mom. And we plan on being together until we go together or one of us leaves the other. And God willing, that will be, how it's going to be. Because only He knows our destiny. So there you have it. That's my love story, and I'm sticking to it. And of course, I can't remember every single thing that happened. Just too much time has gone by. But that's the crux of it. So hope you enjoyed it. And there it is. So I remembered a lot more than I thought I would. And I hope you do get something out of it. I want all of you to stay happy, stay positive, protect your mind, protect your heart, and be blessed. Talk to you later.